Yep, podium's on. Here.
But I think I better get.
Okay.
So, good morning, everyone. Sorry for keeping you all this trouble. Today, I'll be speaking about how to establish a robust ecosystem inside the enterprise IT, because we mainly talk about how it changes user experience, how it leverages innovation inside the communications environment. But we little talk about the guys who will actually build this inside the enterprise system, how it changes their lives. Actually, in my case, my journey started back then 2 years ago. Back then we were working on a project which required video on a web page, and it needed to be real time. So I Googled video HTML5 and real time, and I came across this reference book by Mr. Dan Burnett. And actually, when I first discovered that it was there and possible, I was very excited because I didn't know how to code back then. I have never done any software development in my life. And in the same time, I was also researching for the atmospheres and ecosystems that are best for innovation, that are suited and designed for creativity. And combining those two books, it's by Steven Johnson. He also has a very great TED talk about the same book, Where Good Ideas Come From, where he investigates the main factors that are brought together to make innovation possible. So combining those two, I was curious about one question. Where does WebRTC foster innovation? Where it creates the notion of innovation from scratch, where no development has been done ever. So in order to look at this closely, we need to first investigate the project life in the enterprise. First, what is done is identify a problem. We need a better service. We need a better communication system. And then they will find someone else to solve it. This means finding a vendor that offers some good products that can solve our problem. And then we look for how to integrate that onto our existing environment through testing, and we need to get approvals from managers and negotiate the prices, etc. And then finally configure it to our existing needs and deploy. And of course, it doesn't end here. The IT staff has to do support. To support the users and support the system, account for maintenance, etc. But this is the project lifecycle. Let's have a look at the IT staff. What they do is actually in this portion, the integration. To integrate, they need to get ready. They need to get specific training, because most of the communication systems like this, they are very complex and big systems. And the vendors that are offering such solutions are also very big, and they mainly work through loyalty programs like partnerships. So you have a specific vendor, a specific technology, and you have partnerships. So you need to get a vendor-specific training on a particular technology or on a particular product. And since you are partners, you need to get certificated. And if you look closely how this can change anything from these portions, you can see that they are rejected from the innovation process. They cannot actually change someone else's technology. They cannot change how to support the product, because their support is they try to solve it basically, and then if they can't do it, they submit a ticket to someone else. And so, how do enterprises even innovate? The obvious answer to that is they don't. But why they don't is answered by another great TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson on a modern education system. We did partnerships for a specific vendor for a specific product, and we limited their capacity to one particular subject, and we educated them out of their creative capacities. So now I will suggest tweaks to how to do this exactly. And you might ask, is this really necessary? Do we really need this? Because things are working great with our enterprise. We buy stuff and they solve our old problems. Actually, Gartner's report tends to differ. As Chris mentioned, BYOD offers two different and two difficult challenges to the enterprise, as the IT staff's responsibility is shifting from just specifier of technology to the customizer of technology. And the users are bringing their own devices into the enterprise system, and they want the applications that they are using for their work to work on their mobile device, on their smartphones, on their tablets, whatever it may be. And this actually, since they are also using much more complex applications already on their devices for voice and video communications, for example, their expectations very high, and increased use of technology overall brings many more challenges to the IT staff to customize the enterprise applications to fit on the user expectations. So for the first step is helping the IT staff to discover adjacent possible, to discover what's next, what can they build on top of the existing application or infrastructure. And in order to examine this, I will give examples on the history of web. Actually, it was first introduced by Tim Berners-Lee, by the HTML and first web published in 1991. And in 1994, actually, it was really ubiquitous and running everywhere. But it was a text-only medium, and the websites actually look like this. You first need to dial up, and then if the website even has only one image, that is around 2 kilobytes, it took around half a minute to load. This is actually 3 times faster than the original one. So what's the next step? The next step would be using this technology for business, using this for transactions, and you need to make it much more secure and much more robust to do that. So the next step is SL version 2, secure connection between the web browsers, which enables financial transactions to shopping, auctions, and casinos. And I invite you to guess the first ever financial transaction on the web. What was the company that were offering this? Was it a bank or real estate? Anyone guessing a bank? No? Anyone guessing a real estate or? Okay, let's find out. It was Pizza Hut. The first ever financial transaction over the web was a pizza order and delivery from this actually Mosaic website. Someone mentioned the web browser yesterday. And if you look at this, it's quite extraordinary when you think of 1995. Some guy ordered a pizza online. Even then, the web was not mature enough. But this can actually give you an idea of the level of innovation it brings in terms of describing the adjacent possible. So the next step is enabling them to sell their items online, which actually was the birth of Amazon in 1996. And this led to they need to sell goods online, they need to generate content online, and this actually, again, led to blogs, forums, and social media, and 2000 was the birthmark of Facebook. And since there are so many users now, and they are generating content, they need a richer media, which is voice, video, over the web. And 2005 was also the birthmark of YouTube, and then we will have the HTML video tag. And actually, you can see where we come. This is where WebRTC comes in. WebRTC comes into the enterprise to solve many problems in its approach for innovation. The first is easier API. I've never done much complex development on legacy telecom applications development infrastructure such as TCL or VXML, etc. But I was told that it was much more easier with WebRTC to develop such kind of applications and solutions. And the second is it's being open source. It's being democratizing. And this means that some guy from the other part of the world can develop an application that fits my needs, and I can collaborate with him through that and make something on top of that. And the third thing is, as we've been mainly discussing, it has many problems to solve. It has many use cases. So the third step with all this information is to change their lives. This was their lives before WebRTC. And actually, the first thing that's needed to be changed is here, the vendor-specific training and certification. Instead of that, they need to learn how to code. They need to learn some specific APIs, and they need to learn how the web interoperates with their existing infrastructure. By that, I don't mean offering them to build an application or infrastructure from scratch, which is also another topic for another talk in the afternoon. But they need to understand what the code does and how it does it. And the second change should be happening here. Instead of finding someone else, they need to find someone to collaborate to solve it, because they have a platform or API that is offering a solution, and they have some SDKs, and you need to collaborate with them so that their platform fits your needs. And through customization of that API, you have collaboration, and actually it was before one-way communication between you and someone else, some vendor, and now it's a two-way communication to offer a really great solution. And the main difference is going to happen on this side. Instead of supporting, since they know what the application does, they know how the application does what it does, and they know how they can develop and change it. So instead of supporting, they are involved in the development and debugging process. They can now understand better what the problem might be, and they can understand better how the problem can be solved. So you see all the areas have gone yellow, and they have actually so much to say for all these areas. They have been involved in the innovation process because they learn how to do it, how to understand it, and how to make it better. So first, discover adjacent possible, then try to use WebRTC for communication solutions, or try to understand WebRTC better, and then involve them through collaboration inside your process. And in order to convince you that this is natural and this is going to happen, I have a video what communications innovation looked like 25 years ago when I was born, actually.
Really good teachers who do a lot of project-based activities with their kids really don't just open up the world to let the kids do anything. There's sort of a hidden structure, and the kinds of tools you put out for kids to work with actually sort of guide the way they are able to inquire and build and communicate their ideas. What we imagine for the future is sort of a workspace or desktop where teachers can just choose all the different tools they want, drop them into place, go to work, and the software takes care of all of the integrations.
The kinds of tools we're looking at and developing are ones that allow you to create learning environments, do your own publishing, build things that are in fact are useful not only at the moment, but can potentially be useful to the colleagues in your district and beyond.
Peter?
Hi.
Hi. Listen, I am totally stumped. I have this great unit on growth and nature, but I'm having a heck of a time really driving the point home.
What are you looking for exactly?
Well, I've got some great observation experiments, and I've got some great background material on cell growth, but...
You're just not sure how to open the lesson.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. That's my problem.
You're in luck. I came across some really good time-lapse stuff last week. Worked great with my kids. Here, I'll send you Cyberlink. They've got a whole series of shots like, well, like this one. Just browse through. You can choose the ones you like.
This is perfect. Thank you so much, Peter. Listen, I'll see you next week at the district meeting.
I'll be there.
See ya.
So this shows that they knew they need WebRTC 25 years ago. And what's more interesting is that this was an ad run by Apple in 1990. So, thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any questions from the audience? I'd ask if the guys could get the PC set up again so that we can make the handover quick to the next presenter while we take Q&A. So I think your presentation highlighted the importance that there's technologies there, but actually there's two more important aspects for an enterprise. That's people and process.
Yes, the people and process actually, because there's so much innovation going on over the web, and the telecom environment is going there, but the enterprise staff is going to build those onto the enterprise systems, but nobody seems to care how they will do it and how they will get trained and they will get ready for this. And if they don't, the enterprises will still continue to consume what someone else is doing, and they couldn't innovate and they couldn't make the enterprise technologies better. Actually.
No, that's a very good point. So do we have any other questions from the audience?
Yes, I'm curious. I presume this isn't the first time you've shared this notion with anyone, right? I mean, that maybe you've discussed this with other people within enterprises already.
Yes.
What kind of reaction have you gotten so far?
Actually, at first I told them you need to learn how to code and how to understand the code. They are quite reluctant to it because maybe it's part of my country's notion about engineering, but the telecom guys, they don't want to, develop stuff for web in my country. So I convinced them somehow, and through demos, that WebRTC is great, and it is working now, even though the standards are not yet ready yet. But mainly what they do is they initiate this motivation that they need to learn how to code, but since they have no target for WebRTC application, they are at the stage of learning what WebRTC is and what the API is. But inside our company, for example, I was 2 years ago responsible for network maintenance and operations, but now I'm doing both development and maintenance right now, and we are working on innovation projects, for example a WebRTC video conferencing application, but some basic applications, but we are playing around it. So I believe this is the first step for an enterprise company to start to play with this for very simple use cases, and then innovation will happen if they will complete the third step.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. That's a theme I think that came through yesterday as well in the closing panel that WebRTC allows us to play. So excellent presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you.